bought a 3-5 of weed. And I told my friend, I said, hold this until I get back. Because, I didn't want to leave it at my house, leave it in my car, and risk my parents finding it. So I was like, hold this until I get back. That day where Christ came into my life, I had texted him back as soon as it happened. I texted him, I said, keep the weed. You can give it to somebody else. I don't want it. Normally, I would have never done that. The 3-5 of weed to some people is that's something that's real valuable.
We got friends that need to hear stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times parents gonna say it, but it won't really register to you like how a friend would say it. Because it kind of hits harder when one of your friends that does stuff with you comes and tells you, yo, we gotta chill on this, you know what I'm saying?
Just because we don't believe in the same thing in the same way doesn't mean I can't be open-minded and still go and do things that they do. Like, we can still talk and have conversations. But
to be quite honest with you, I hate it when people talked about Jesus and things like that. I hate it when people tried to give me certain advice on life and things like that. Back then I didn't want to hear it. I saw myself as a know-it-all. I felt what's called a spiritual high, and I felt this weight on my chest. It was so heavy I just fell, and I just started crying and crying and crying. And I remember from that day forward, I no longer had an urge to smoke weed at all.
What's good, family? Welcome to the conversation. Y'all see where we at. We're doing things a little different here. I got my boy Joe right here with me, and we're gonna have a little conversation. You seen the title. I think that the people who watch this might find this episode a little relatable. So I suggest y'all tune in and stay tuned. And without further ado, let me introduce the guest, my boy Jalen. Why don't you come down here real quick for him? Yes, sir. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself real quick. Go ahead.
How y'all doing? My name Jalen. I'm 21 years old. Well, 21 as of a couple days ago, I guess, October 7th. Here to spread as much of the word as I can.
Amen. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm proud of Jalen, man. I feel like this is gonna be a good podcast, man. It's been a lot of changes, and I feel like, me and Ronald, the message we try to get across, it won't be as understanding as it may be for him. So it'll be a good episode.
I definitely do agree with what he just said, because I feel like my boy Jalen here might resonate with more of the people who need to be resonated with, and people who can really get help or get comfort, or just this episode I think would help them understand certain things about themselves and help them move forward in the process. But I'm gonna go ahead, and we're gonna talk about his background, see where he came from, how you grew up, family, and see how you was raised. Go ahead, talk to him.
All right, so I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, but spent most of my life in Atlanta because I turned one in Georgia. So I tell people I'm from Georgia or Atlanta, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people just say Atlanta, but I was born in Alabama. Roll Tide. But I grew up as a PK kid. The ones that don't know what that is, that's a pastor's kid. Grew up in Pentecostal churches. So back then I was forced to go to church, and a lot of times when we're forced to do certain things in life as a young age, when we get older, we go and do the things that we're able to do that we weren't able to do as a younger person. So growing up, I was forced to go into the church. I didn't really like it. To be quite honest with you, I hate it when people talked about Jesus and things like that. I hate it when people tried to give me certain advice on life and things like that. Back then I didn't want to hear it. I saw myself as a know-it-all.
Quick question. Around what age was you when you think when it was going on?
All the way up until, let's say all the way up until 19. Yeah, all the way up until 19. So basically just about all my life. I didn't like to hear people talk about Jesus. That's just how it was. And like I said, the more I grew up, the more freedom I got from my parents, because a lot of times I was forced to do certain things that I didn't want to do. So when I grew up, I felt like I had a lot more freedom to do the things that I wasn't able to do as a kid. So that's what led me to a lot of different sins and stuff like that. Going out, partying every single night, going to car meets, drinking, smoking. I had a 7-year-long marijuana addiction. Not even just marijuana, just smoking in general. Blacks, cigars, whatever. I probably smoked it, not no crack or nothing like that, but yeah, 7-year-long relationship with smoking in general, drinking. I used to have a lot of people that called me a drunk, especially the people that I went to parties with that called me a drunk, because whenever I got a bottle in my hand, I chug the whole thing by myself. So I've been called a drunk.
Yeah, I have a story before we really even knew each other for real. I think I went over a mutual friend's house, and then I seen you there. The boy was laid up on the couch. Oh, he was knocking out. Yeah. He was just there, and like the whole time he was there, that boy was just on the couch, gone. I said, what was going on with him? I never knew, because I didn't really know him like that before then, but it was just interesting. Like he was like, that boy got drunk. Yeah,
that was me. Like Ronald said, I'd be passed out drunk. So, I went from partying 24/7, having sex 24/7, smoking all the time, drinking all the time, to now I don't smoke anymore. So far it's been about like almost 3 months since I smoked. Hopefully, praying it's an ongoing thing with me, because I really don't want to go back to it. I don't feel like I am going to go back to it, so just praising and thanking God for that. Drinking, if I do drink, I don't drink like I used to. For example, I don't drink liquor. If I do drink, I'll drink wine. But if I drink wine, I'll just limit myself to a cup, or I'll just sip it. Nothing to get me out of a sober mind. But yeah, my life before Christ was pretty wild. It was pretty different. It's crazy.
Okay, and now that you gave us a whole little background, so you growing up, did you grow up with like your mom and your dad, and like how was the family dynamic? Like, who did you grow up with growing up?
Yeah, I grew up with my mom, my dad. I have two brothers, and I have one sister. So yeah, the whole family was there.
Okay. So I find it interesting because you said your dad was a pastor, right? Mm-hmm. Was your mom like what was her job, a title, or did she have?
They're both deep in the church. They're the most spiritually God-fearing people I know in my life. They're both deep in it. Okay, so they,
like you said, they're both deep in it. So how would you say was your path? Because I know that them both being highly into Christianity wasn't the only factor in like you deciding to go down the path you was deciding to go down in the beginning. So I'm trying to think, like, what do you think things started to take a turn from you just not liking like Christianity, and I'm not liking people talking about Christianity and Jesus on that, to like you deciding that you feel like you wanted to drink and smoke, and like what do you think contributed to you wanting to do those things and have sexes and all that along the way?
To be honest, what led me to just start hating when people talked about Jesus, I don't really know about that. It's just something that just started. Like, for example, there'll be a lot of times I have to try, I used to try to have normal conversations with my mom, just laugh and talk with my mom. And I just never liked it how out of every conversation she brung up something about Jesus, and she like strayed away from the conversation at hand, and she brought Jesus into it, and that just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of irked my nerves. It kind of did something to me. So I still don't quite understand why that really bothered me. Right. But as far as why I started drinking and smoking and all of that stuff, a lot of times, you get peer pressured into stuff. Like, which is why a lot of times I try to tell people, watch the people that you hang around.
So you think that played a big part in that, like the people you hung around?
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said before, growing up I was forced to go to church, right. And there were certain things that I wasn't able to do. And when I grew up, I got a little bit more freedom to do the things that I wasn't able to do that I wanted to do. And so the things that I wanted to do was to go have sex. I wanted to see what it felt like to be drunk. I wanted to see what it felt like to be high. And the things that just really tied into that is, you know, school. A lot of times when I was at school, I started to hang around people that smoked a lot. I started to hang around people that drank a lot. I started to hang around people that had sex a lot. So then that kind of rubbed off on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because, you know, they say you are who you hang around.
Yeah.
And it's little, like, people don't understand that. They think that once you hang around certain people, the things start changing like this. But no, it's like a gradual thing. Over time, you start to become the people you hang around, literally, because just like in a relationship, if people, I know everybody or most people know that when you with somebody, y'all start acting like each other over time, little by little. Y'all do certain things alike, this, that, and the other. It's the same with the people you hang around. So people need to stop thinking, like, they don't think that that factors in a lot, but it's a big thing when it comes to who you are. And what do you think, have along that way of you going through those different things, wanting to try all that stuff, and it taking you down the downward spiral? Was there any time where a person or anybody or anything tried to get you to come back to like your senses, or come back to like other things?
It's been a lot of people actually. Joey, he's one of those people, because for example, like he saw me, my relationship with weed. I was overly smoking way more than anybody needs to, and Joey, he saw those things. There's somebody else is named Devin. He saw those things too, and they'll come to me, be like, bro, you need to chill out. Let's regroup. Let's rethink this, and things like that. And I can't leave out my parents, my sister, especially, because she's the main one out of my whole family that I used to just go to about everything. If I would ever used to mess up or do something wrong in life, she would be the first person I would tell about it. And she would talk to me like, all right, well, you got to think about these things. How are these things going to affect your life in the long run? Are these things going to help you in life, or are these things going to hurt you in life? So it's just certain things that you got to be able to realize and open up your eyes to, and your mind to, just kind of get an understanding for yourself.
Okay. So would you say like Joey's been, like, is he one of the people you feel like been there for throughout the whole kind of process there, like talking to you?
Yeah, Joey's been there for a long time.
Okay, so then my question would be like, Joey, like, what made you, be that person to decide to say something to him, or decide to like not just let things be?
I'll say probably just seeing the foundation of it, because a lot of times, it's people that are too far. Well, not I would say too far gone, but I know if I say something, it's not gonna get through. It's you can tell. But just seeing how his background is, like your background. I go to his house, you can feel like, okay, the energy in the house is and that's why I would be like, okay, cool. I know this ain't Jalen. When I first started hanging around Jalen for real, that was when he was a pretty much wild.
Yeah, when did y'all first meet?
We met over a blunt. For real. Not met, but like we started hanging for over.
Yeah, we started
at elementary.
Yeah. Elementary, like third grade probably, maybe. Okay. But yeah. So, but yeah, just. I remember, I think me and Chaz went to your house one time, and it was just like, okay, this is a really, like, you could feel the love in the house, and it, even like meeting your parents, I'll say. It reminds me a lot of my parents, what I'm saying? Just like you said, like, they're the most spiritual people like, and that's why I'm like, okay, cool. Like, at times, I can understand that, because, my dad's a pastor too, and they gonna beat that into you to the point where it's like, man, bro, I don't want to, sometimes you don't want to wake up on Sundays and go to church and get dressed, and it's be like, why? Why? But later on, you grow to understand everything that they tell you, and it makes you the person to kind of be that guide for people that don't have the mom and dad there, we got friends that need to hear stuff like that, what I'm saying? Because a lot of times parents gonna say it, but it won't really register to you like how a friend would say it, because it kind of hits harder when one of your friends that does stuff with you comes and tells you, yo, we gotta chill on this, what I'm saying? Because y'all can both relate, y'all live kind of the same lifestyle in a way. So yeah, and me, I kind of don't. I'm not the type of person that if I see a problem going wrong, I don't want to be the person enabling it, you know. So and that's where, as a union, more people should get into the mindset of being real with people and telling them, instead of just saying, oh, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, because end of the day, you're killing your spirit, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope y'all heard what all he said, and I just want to come back to the point of, y'all see where we at. We had to come back to the source. We in nature, taking it back to, you know, where everything come from. But I just want to say that because, like, anybody out there that might be going through the similar things, or you can relate to what we're talking about, it's just, this is just an episode for you to just look at it, and maybe you find this along your journey and you decide that you might want to take a different, you know, path, or you might want to send it to a friend or anybody you think may need to hear something like this. Because, you know, we think that sometimes in life we think that we're the only person going through something, but when you stop and realize that everybody is going through similar things, just in different ways sometimes. So I hope this resonates with people. But my next question would be, like, at one point in your life, because, you know, you said Joey been there, he always says certain stuff, but then all the times he said stuff wasn't every time you didn't decide to make a change, but eventually something snapped in you or something clicked in you. When do you think, around what time was that, and then what do you think really made you decide to start switching up the things you do?
That would be June 29th of 2024, the day I officially gave my life to Christ. That is a day that I will never forget. I remember I was at a church conference, and the church conference, by the way, it's called Forward. Like, we're going forward rather than backwards. It's called Forward, the Forward Conference. And just imagine yourself in a big stadium full of about 15,000 people, all about like 20 to 40 or 50 years old, all worshiping God, hands lifted high, praising, worshiping, all of that. So I was in there, I was looking around the stadium. They had these beautiful ambient lights going, and I remember this artist came out on the stage. Her name is Carrie Job, and she's a Christian gospel artist. Y'all should check her out. And she came out differently than a lot of the other artists. When she came out vocalizing, and I looked at the screen, and there was a whole bunch of scriptures playing on the screen, like credits on a movie. And I remember looking around the stadium, everybody's hands is lifted, you know, everybody crying, you know, praising God and everything like that. And I looked at it, and that hit me hard, because it's people my age. And I was like, you know what? I do want to change in my life. Let me give this a try. So I lifted my hands up, closed my eyes. I genuinely started to pray and ask God for certain things that I've never asked him for before. And mind you, my eyes are closed. And like in a snap of a finger, I saw an image of my parents standing right in front of me, almost like it was a hologram, but my eyes are closed. And this is one of those supernatural things that you just see and you just can't deny it. Like, my eyes are closed and I see my parents standing right in front of me, and they were just looking at me and they were smiling. And from then I just felt such a comfort, and I felt such a spiritual high. Like, we all get high from different, you know, substances like marijuana and, you know, different drugs like that, but I felt what's called a spiritual high. And I felt this weight on my chest. It was so heavy, I just fell, and I just started crying and crying and crying. And I remember from that day forward, I no longer had an urge to smoke weed at all. For 7 years, I've been smoking, and for every morning during those 7 years, there was not a morning that went by that I did not think about, how am I gonna roll up? How am I gonna go get some money to go, you know, cop this 3.5? How am I gonna do this and do that? I ain't want no weed. And you know what's crazy about it is, the day before I went to that conference, I went and bought a 3.5 of weed. And I told my friend, I said, hold this until I get back, because, you know, I didn't want to leave it at my house, leave it in my car, and risk my parents finding it. So I was like, hold this until I get back. That day where Christ came into my life, I had texted him back as soon as it happened. I texted him. I said, keep the weed. You can give it to somebody else. I don't want it. Normally, I would have never done that. That 3-5 a weed to some people is that's something that's real valuable, but me, I didn't want it anymore, and that's where everything just it's like, yeah, it's literally like a snap of a finger how it went away so quick. But yeah, that's when it happened, June 29th.
June 29th. So after that day, what do you think? What were some main things that you seen change, or some things that you had a way you was living before? So after that day, what are some things that started to change for you after that, or that you had to think about and say, okay, now that I'm going through this process, I need to switch this out, do this different, and stop doing this or whatnot? So what do you think? What are some things that you went through that had to change?
So after that day, some things that I really noticed that changed for me is back then, for a long time, I had a lot of hair. I used to have dreads and stuff. As soon as that happened, I cut my dreads off because I felt as if my dreads were holding on to things that didn't need to be in my life anymore. It portrayed an image on me that I didn't want people to look at me as. So I cut my dreads off. Don't know why, just cut them off. Started to get waves, made me feel more free. I stopped smoking, which is a very big thing for me. And finally I distanced myself away from the people that I used to hang around with 24/7. The people I used to go to parties with, the people I used to smoke with all the time, I distanced myself from them, and I just completely stopped talking to them. And it's not like I don't like you anymore type of thing. It's just I have to do this for myself to finally get rid of some of the things that I've been battling with myself and throughout my whole life. So for example, I've been battling with smoking and marijuana. A lot of the people that I hung around with smoked all the time and things like that. So in order to overcome those different situations in my life, I have to distance myself from those people that do the things that I'm trying to get rid of in my life, if that makes sense. So yeah, those are some things that changed for me.
I definitely understand the different things that you had to switch up, and I would like to iterate the fact that even though these two are Christian and I might not be Christian, we still overall are speaking about the same things. If you've watched the things that I speak about and you watch the things that I talk about in either the podcast or different episodes or even videos I make, it two points I want to make. We don't all have to just because we are different in different ways don't mean we have to distance each other. Like, just because he's Christian don't mean I can't sit down and have a conversation with him. Or if somebody was Muslim, because even during when he first was making that change, we all went out to his church, and I went to church with them, and it was actually a great experience. The church had very good energy, and that's what it resonated, and it was just overall a good experience. But just because we don't believe in the same thing in the same way doesn't mean I can't be open-minded and still go and do things that they do. Like, we can still talk and have conversations, because even like I said, the first point I made, that I'm not Christian, but he is Christian. But at the end of the day, when you're bettering yourself, you still go through the certain steps to get better, because it's universal. It's like the law of the universe type of thing. It's more than just whether you Christian, you can only be Christian or this or that. It's really just about bettering yourself at the end of the day. But if you don't mind, I want to touch on that. Go ahead.
Like